Hi guys, this is Simon Sage from Into Mobile. We're taking a look at the Sony Tablet S. It is a 9.4 inch Android 3.2 tablet. From the front it looks more or less what you'd expect from a honeycomb tablet, but it's one of its more interesting features, one could say, is the form factor here. It actually looks kind of like a folded piece of paper. On this side we've got the standard headphone jack. We've got underneath a little flap here, a full-size SD card slot, which isn't something you see every day. I believe that the Toshiba Thrive has one, but it's a very cool form factor. You know, when you're holding it in this side, it kind of fits into the hand really naturally. It also adds a little bit of an angle when you've got it set down flat on a table or on your lap. Not a huge significant angle, but enough to kind of face your way. Down here we've got one of the speaker ports and a lanyard loop there. Over here we've got the hardware controls, so that includes hardware button, volume control. Also underneath the surface is a little green light up in that corner, so that's for notifications, but there are also other secondary LEDs here, so when you've got more than one going at once, it's kind of like having a crazy rave disco thing going on with your tablet, which can be pretty distracting. But this LED is actually really bright. You can spot it across the room, so that's actually kind of handy. So there's the notification light, just so you can see what it's like. It's I find it's pretty cool there. It's just kind of like coming out from underneath the device, and you can even see it when it's kind of off to the side here. It's still fairly noticeable. Just see here. Yeah, there we go. So even from behind you can still see it. When you're viewing it from the front, it's not quite as apparent though, so that might be a little bit of an issue. Down here from the bottom we have the proprietary charging dock here. It's not exactly ideal, but it does charge relatively quickly. There's also no HDMI out here, which is too bad because this is kind of geared to be kind of a home entertainment companion, right? So that's definitely something I'd like to see, especially given the form factor here. This is kind of built to be docked. So there's it's also PlayStation certified. There's a couple of games on there. I think there's only Crash Bandicoot for now, but Sony Ericsson or Sony anyway is working on adding PlayStation certification to a lot of its mobile devices. That's another thing, actually, that this is a Sony tablet. It's not a Sony Ericsson tablet. So there have been talks that Sony will be buying Ericsson's stake out of their joint smartphone venture. So we'll see how that pans out. And this may be the first kind of independence we see from Sony on that front. Well, another one of the key features with the Sony Tablet S is the fact that it has an infrared transmitter built into the top. So that enables you to use this as a remote control for your TV and other home entertainment peripherals. So we can launch into the shortcut there. And I already have a bunch of my home entertainment stuff set up. And the setup process is really simple. Just go to register a device, and they have a ton of different categories for gadgets: satellite box, DVD player, Blu-ray player, PC, projector, AV amplifier, all that sort of stuff. Tons of manufacturers, all of the big ones, small ones, and even within them they have a wide range of selection for different types of remotes that each of those manufacturers have for their products. So super easy to set up, and even if you're not in any of the presets there, Sony also has the ability to learn from a remote control here. So you would basically just point the remote control at the top of the device here and tell it what this particular button does. Obviously that'll take a little bit longer, but I find that's pretty cool. Not a lot of infrared stuff in mobile, never mind tablets or smartphones. It's just kind of cool to see this feature again. So we can launch into one of these remote controls so you can see how it works. You've got the full standard controls here. You can swap over to see more buttons with a little control thing on the side here. I think you can swipe too, yeah. So, and if you want to change remotes, you can just swap over up top here. Also, as you can see here, this is a gesture-based control. So if you're just doing casual watching and you need quick control, you can just swipe up or down in order to change volume or change the channel. On the more detailed remote control, if any of these pre-programmed buttons aren't what you want it to be, you can teach it new commands, just as if you were building a new remote control like I was talking about earlier. So let's say I want to change the input thing here, learn remote commands, and it'll tell me to just point the remote control over here and tap what I want it to actually be. So it's very robust. Very cool. There are dedicated remote controls out there. Like my dad has one where you just hit turn on TV and it automatically turns on the amp, the TV, and the Blu-ray player. So I mean, if you're a serious couch potato, one of those devices might be better suited to you. But if you're the type to be browsing a tablet while you're watching TV, then this will actually come in pretty handy. A recent Nielsen survey actually said that 40% of smartphone and tablet owners are using it while they're watching TV. So it's definitely a good use case for Sony to kind of nail down. So if you're not familiar with Android Honeycomb, you don't have much in the way of hardware buttons on the front here, but you do have a back key here, home button, a multitasking view over here, and you've got notifications pop up over here, as well as extra stuff for battery or additional settings. So Sony obviously has a bunch of their own properties too that they can kind of pimp out here, including their e-reader. They also have an unlimited music streaming service. Two of them actually. One of them is called Video Unlimited, which is more about buying and renting videos to view on the tablet. They also have something called Crackle, which is just free on-demand TV shows and movies. For my performance with this has been kind of hit and miss. So sometimes the app crashes, sometimes it can't get a connection. So we'll see how we do here. Launch into maybe shows. There we go. Okay. Give that a shot. Yes, that pulls up all right. The display on here is 1280 by 800. Just turn that down. The screen is 1280 by 800, so it's definitely good enough for HD video. The 5 megapixel camera on the back can also shoot a 720p video, I believe. It's got a dual core Tegra 2 processor, 1 gigahertz, I believe, and 1 gigabyte of RAM. So it's got a decent amount of battery life too. There's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery in there, so that's definitely enough to get you through a casual day. It is also DLNA certified, so this kind of stuff you can, videos and whatnot, you can share. Wow, that's awesome. There is plenty of stuff that you can beam out to your TV if it's hooked up to your home network, and that's. If you want this to be the ultimate couch potato tablet, there are some kinds of streaming that I want to see on the TV right away, like just device mirroring or shooting out YouTube videos out to the big screen TV. That's not there quite yet, but I find the infrared capabilities definitely make this a great universal remote. And if you've also got partnerships with companies like DirecTV that can detect what you're watching and give you information on specific points in the timeline. Sony also has an exclusive on the Foursquare for Android on tablets. It's nothing particularly crazy here, but I mean you've got all the standard places and where your friends have checked into recently. You can pan around the embedded Google map here and see what places are nearby. So it's pretty cool stuff all around. And if you're a big fan of Foursquare and you need it on a tablet, maybe the Sony Tablet S will be a big choice for you. So we can also take a look at some of the core applications on the Sony Tablet S here. Of course, there's the browser. It's supporting Flash 11, which, from what I've seen, is actually a pretty significant improvement over 10. Let's see what we can pull up here. I guess my kind of go-to test site is Homestar Runner. That's the virtual keyboard there. I've tried installing Swipe on there for gesture-based keyboards, but if I'm on the bigger screen, it's just a little bit too much work. There's too much area to cover in order to actually get words out. That is not right then, is it? How do we just do home? Star. There we go. Just do a straight up Google search. Yeah, screwing up on the typing. Yeah, it's definitely never quite as good as a physical keyboard, but we haven't really seen anyone try and tackle that on a tablet yet. So I would be interested in seeing someone give it a shot. It seems like Sony's at least a little interested in playing around with form factors. Get some volume here. You can there we go. So yeah, that's Flash 11 running perfectly fine on here. We can back out here. We can take a look at the native Gmail client here. It's again pretty standard for Honeycomb. You've got left-hand panel here with all of your standard categories, starred items, outbox, etc. When you tap through, let me just find one that isn't going to incriminate me here. There we go. So HTML emails load up just fine. Show pictures. Yeah, so it's more or less what you'd expect. Let's see, what else do we got here? There's a Gmail widget built in here, as well as no, that's the full application view. Again, pretty standard. It's just a grid. This view, is it this view? No. It's also my first Android tablet. There we go. So favorites shows you some of your most recent bookmarks, pictures added, stuff like that. There we go. So this way you can see all of your home screens at once, as well as drop in new widgets if you like. I find that there's not a huge library of Honeycomb optimized widgets, but all of the standard Android ones work just fine. You just have a lot more screen real estate to work with, so that's not too bad at all. Anyway, feel free to swing by intomobile.com for our full review of the Sony Tablet S.